everybody, my name is Luna and welcome to Crit Role Conspiracies, the show where we talk about all the wild and wacky theories that critters have about Campaign 3 of Critical Role. This is a special bonus video because I'm going to be talking about everything you need to know about EXU Calamity. So EXU Calamity is a 4-part mini-series from Critical Role which is set 1,000 years before the events of Vox Machina, i.e. Campaign 1. The Calamity is a monumental event in the history of Exandria, so to really get a sense of the time period that this show is taking place in, we need to step it way back. In the beginning, Exandria was a tumultuous and chaotic world, until it was discovered by a group of gods who sought to tame the chaos and to shape the world and to create life upon it. The life that they brought into being had a pretty hard time surviving on this planet because it was still sort of very chaotic and it was also ruled by these elemental titans. These elementals began destroying the gods' creations and the life that they had brought forth, and the gods disagreed on how to deal with this. Half of the gods wanted to fight the titans and to protect the life they'd made, and the other half were so overcome by grief at the destruction of their creations that they wanted to just throw it all in, join the titans, destroy all of humanity, and then peace out. These gods that wanted to destroy their creations are now known as the Betrayer Gods. Inevitably, this disagreement led to a war between the Prime Deities and the Betrayer Gods. The Prime Deities managed to banish the Betrayer Gods to a prison plane where they could no longer interfere, and they also managed to defeat the Elemental Titans. This gave rise to the Age of Arcanum, a beautiful golden era where life could flourish, civilizations were formed, magic and technology was kind of invented and innovated upon, and this time lasted for thousands of years. However, dun dun dun, a mortal, a naughty mortal called Vespin Chloris decided that they wanted to be a god as well. So they were inspired by the ascension of the Raven Queen, who was initially a mortal, but then she took over the death god domain, and Vespin wanted to get some of that action for themselves as well. So they reached out to the Betrayer Gods to get their assistance and to promise to free them in exchange for some of that power. Vespin was successful in freeing the Betrayer Gods from the prison plane, and those gods set up their own city, their own kingdom, where they kind of were hiding in plain sight and building their armies and gathering their resources. This city was called Gordranus. After a time of preparation, the Betrayer Gods and their followers launched an attack on Vasselheim, which is considered the first city, the home of civilization in Exandria. This kicked off an even deadlier war than the one that came before it, the war now known as the Calamity. Once again, the Prime Deities were successful and were able to banish the Betrayer Gods back to their prison plane, but not without significant destruction of civilization on the planet. Entire cities rendered into ash, countless lives lost. It was a bad time. Feeling that their involvement was partly to blame for the sheer amount of destruction, the Prime Deities decided that they too could not be trusted to be on the material plane with their creations. So they also locked themselves away behind what's called the Divine Gate, so that they can no longer directly influence the happenings on Exandria. They can still reach out through that Divine Gate, which is why we still have, clerics and paladins and that kind of thing. They are still able to influence things, but they can't sort of just stroll on in like they used to be able to. This event is known as the Divergence. Okay, I think that's everything you need to know. That's very broad brushstrokes, so I have generalized some things. I really recommend checking out the Crit Role Wiki if you would like a more detailed description of the events, because it's all laid out there with the timelines and all the different kind of things that happened. All praise is given to the Crit Role Wiki. I am incredibly hyped to see this event in real time. I think a lot of the time in D&D settings, or just fantasy worlds in general, there's always a great event that happened centuries past. But I want to see what happened at that event. I want to be at that defining moment. So it's just really great that we actually get to see that with Critical Role. Okay, so what do we know so far about the show? Firstly, it has an incredible lineup of players. We've got some new faces to the Critical Role table and some familiar faces. The GM is Brennan Lee Mulligan from Dimension 20 and College Humor. And then we have players Lou Wilson, Marisha Ray, Luis Carrazzo, Sam Riegel, Abria Iyengar, and Travis Willingham. I feel like there is going to be so much chaos at this table. Secondly, the promo for the show states the following. Follow 6 distinguished heroes from the age of Arcanum as they uncover an insidious corruption beneath a city that they've sworn to protect. This is a story where Exandria's greatest minds could not or would not see the truth before it was too late. These mighty protectors will do everything in their power in an attempt to prevent the inevitable. The Calamity! I guess the other thing that we know is the ending. Like, we know that this series is going to end in the Calamity. It would be completely world-breaking if they did somehow manage to prevent it. But just because we know the big ending, we have no idea what the small ending is going to be. I think there are a number of stories out there where something really, really terrible is going to happen, but the heroes fight to make sure that it's not as terrible as it could be. I mean, the Calamity sounds pretty bad. I don't know how you get more terrible than the Calamity, or they could be trying to save some particular artifacts that are going to help humanity exist beyond this time of destruction. There are a number of ways that they could meaningfully contribute and do something huge and exciting, even though we know that the Calamity is inevitable. And speaking about that inevitability, I think I could not think of a better DM than Brennan Lee Mulligan to run a game where literally the world is ending. He'll just burn everything to the ground. Okay, so those are the facts. But we're not on this channel for facts. We're on this channel for theories. So I asked all of you what your theories were about EXU Calamity, and I present to you the most popular ones. Number 1, the players are going to be high level, probably level 15 and over. And I think this is pretty likely given that the heroes have been described as the protectors of a city. They're going to be big figures. Yeah, I'm rooting for level 20 parties. Let's go. I want to see the wild abilities that they've got. Number 2, we are going to see an incarnation of FCG, Sam's character in Campaign 3. In my other videos, we've speculated for quite a long time that FCG is originally from before the Calamity, that we know that Aeomatons were common before the Calamity because of the Mighty Nine's exploration of Aeor in Campaign 2. So we could either see Sam playing FCG or somebody else playing FCG or an NPC as FCG, whatever they were before who they are now. I speak good. Number 3, we are going to see FCG's creator, Dancer. We have seen FCG talk about their creator as being Dancer. It seems like we're still really unclear about whether this was a person who originally made FCG or was a person who found FCG and tinkered them up. I'm kind of leaning towards the second option, but who knows? Maybe we'll see Dancer in this series. Number 4, the series will take place in Aeor, and we're going to see the fall of Aeor. So Aeor was a floating city during the Age of Arcanum that was sort of held aloft by Brimstone, and then during the Calamity, it crashed into the world, into Exandria. And the promo for the series does show a floating city. So even if it's not Aeor, I think it's likely it's probably going to be another one of the floating cities because we know that there were several. And kind of continuing on with this theory, we might see how we ended up with some people in those time stasis bubbles in Aeor. Perhaps that's something we're going to see the adventurers dealing with, or we're going to see it happen as Aeor is falling. That would be so cool. Number 5, we might meet Devexian. So Devexian was a character from Campaign 2, an Aeomaton that the Mighty Nine patched up and fixed, and he sort of went off and was going to waken his automaton brethren, or they're actually called Aeomatons. In Sam's Instagram takeover this week, somebody asked, how would your EXU character respond to FCG? And Sam said that there would be no response at all, no reaction at all. Take of that what you will. So I think we're going to see a lot of Aeomatons because we know that they were really common, and so I think whatever setting we're in, there's going to be lots of Aeomatons. It's not going to be anything interesting or exciting the way that it is in the Bell's Hells campaign. Number 6, Travis is going to be playing a druid or a ranger tabaxi. Now, the reason we have this theory is because on Travis's Instagram takeover, he said that his character would catch and eat a rabbit for breakfast. And then on Sam's Instagram takeover, he said that his dog, like his real life pet, would chase Travis's character. So, you know, dogs chasing cats, rangers hunting food for breakfast. Number 7, we could meet Fern's parents in Aor. It's been a while since we've talked about that little revelation that Fern's parents were in Aor. So there's this theory that we're gonna bump into them in this EXU Calamity series. Yes, I know the timeline, it's literally thousands of years, but like time in the Feywild is weird and tricky and Fey live like forever. I'm speaking with hyperbole, don't at me. Number 8, the party could be working for the Betrayer Gods and might not realize it. I think this works really well with what the copy says about the show of how the heroes don't see what's happening until it's too late. And because we know that the Betrayer Gods did kind of like sow their dissonance and their influence very slowly over a long period of time, I think that could be pretty likely. So they could be working for the Betrayer Gods, not realize it, then we have a turn where they do realize and they kind of have to do everything they can to stop what they've set into motion. And number 9, the Somnovum will make an appearance. The Somnovum were some of the, I guess, big bads from Campaign 3, and they were part of the city of Aor. That part of the city had kind of like gone off and into the astral sea. It's a whole big thing of how that happened. But yeah, the Somnovum were this group of high-level mages who kind of like oversaw that part of the city. So yeah, we could be seeing them in EXU Calamity as well. All we can do now is, I guess, continue speculating. So put your speculations in the comments below. And of course, it won't be too long until the series is releasing. It's just releasing tomorrow, I believe. If you'd like somewhere to watch along with fellow critters, I do weekly watch parties in my Discord, and we are going to be watching EXU Calamity. So if you want to join, all the links are in the description below. It's really fun. It's great just having somewhere to kind of interact with people that is not as wild as the Twitch chat, which is like, it's a lot. And if you want to see deep dives into those EXU Calamity episodes, make sure you are subscribed because I will be uploading them every week. Thank you to my YouTube members and patrons, and a special thank you to new patron Brian. All right, that's all from me. I'll see you next time. Bye!